And salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, here at my side, my broadcast partner, The Boy.
Hey.
And this is the Two Nerds Podcast. Before we get started, please like, comment, favorite, subscribe, share the links. Head over to Super Blizzard's Bandcamp page. Link is in the description and at the end of the video. And download his Shining Wasato track, Let's Get Hardcore. That's our theme song. Also buy up a bunch of his other music, because he's awesome. And, this is the Night of Champions podcast.
Yes, it is. And I'm gonna be honest with you, listener. I have a lot less rage coming into this podcast than I expected to have. I expected to be just frothing at the mouth, furious, but no. I mean, wasn't the best pay-per-view on record? It wasn't SummerSlam. But, it wasn't bad. It was a good pay-per-view. Solid. Solid work from pretty much all involved. I can't think of a bad match. Can you?
Bad.
Yeah, bad. Maybe.
No.
Like,
there were some that were subpar, especially the par set by the pay-per-view or previous matches with those people, but none of them were bad.
So let's start from the top. First match was Goldust and Stardust versus the Usos. Uso number 1 and Uso number 2. I believe their names are Jimmy and Jay.
Sure. Keenan and Kel.
It's Rock number 1 and The Rock number 2. This is separate from The Rock Prime, mind you. That's the actual Rock. But
this wasn't a bad match.
No, this was, you know what? The Dustbusters and the Usos, they put on some good matches. They've put on these good matches for like 6 months.
Yeah, this wasn't even the best of the matches they'd put on. Yeah. Goldust had a pretty cool spot where he did a front flip senton off the apron.
That was
into
cool.
An Uso.
Yeah, into... Look, alright, they can tell me which one's which. And I don't know how Michael Cole keeps it straight.
I think one of them has a goatee.
I think they both have goatees.
I think I have a goatee.
Well, that's true, but...
Good.
It was a good match. It was... Alright, have you seen a Dust Brothers versus Uso Brothers match on Raw?
Trying really hard to find a good joke for their name there, weren't you?
No, it's just... I'm trying not to say the Dustbusters, because that's what my brain calls them.
The Dustbusters.
If you've seen a match between those two teams on Raw, add about 5-10 extra minutes, and congratulations, you've seen this match. The surprising thing is that the Goldust and Stardust go over pretty clean, honestly. There wasn't really cheatery or any fucking. No. They were heels, but they went over. They won.
No, honestly, the Usos were more heely.
Well, I find that's something I'm going to want to get into as the pay-per-view goes on for lots of heels in the WWE and faces. The faces, I think, are maybe inputting a little bit too much Ric Flair because they all act a little heely. Not a lot, and some are worse than others, which we will get to. But, like, the faces are all sort of acting... not bad, not like cowardly, but certainly duplicitous and opportunistically. And while that's fine, it muddies your waters a little bit, and WWE works so for color, so black and white, I don't think it works as well as it should.
Well, I don't know that WWE actually works so for color, but they seem to pretend like they do.
They're trying to sell us that they're working black and white. They're trying to sell us that they're working standard face versus heel, good guys versus bad guys. But the behavior of their good guys does not always fit that. But, I mean, this is a solid match. There's not really a whole lot else for us to say on it.
Goldust had new attire and new paint.
So did Stardust, so did the Usos. Everybody had new merch, so all their extra superpowers were equal. Goldust's new paint was pretty badass.
It was okay.
I like the half and half.
I like it distancing itself from Gold Mall. But, it I like his old stuff.
Oh, which is fair. The next match was Sheamus versus Cesaro, and this was a good one. This, again, they've had a bunch of matches. That's another theme of this pay-per-view. We've seen this before. But
might as well call it Night of the Best of 7 series.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was good. It was a good match. These guys they started off with actually, I mean, as solid a chain wrestling sequence as you're going to get out of Sheamus. He's not a bad chain wrestler, but he's not a great one.
He's all beefy and awkward. It's hard to make some of those really fluid moves.
Yeah. Cesaro kept up his end very well, though, made the segment look good. Eventually devolved into a brawl, as all their matches do. And it was Sheamus doing the fighting thing that he does, the punchy, and then Cesaro stronging really well. Because that Cesaro strongs really well.
Yeah, Cesaro looked really good.
They booked it, actually.
Yeah, and then toward the end of the match, it really looked like Cesaro was going to take it, but Sheamus broke, kicked out of nowhere, and...
Yeah, he got the surprise finisher for the win, but Cesaro spent the last maybe 5 minutes of that match real strong, like just dominating. And I think it was actually a probably good booking decision, just because I don't think this feud has reached its peak yet. I think it has places it can still go.
You know, for it to have places to go, they would have to
mix it up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, because all they keep doing is just throwing these two against each other. It's the same thing with the fucking Goldust and Stardust and the Usos. It's just like, you can't, that's not booking a feud, just keep having them fight.
You gotta up the stakes. You gotta change it up. You gotta introduce new wrinkles. You have to book things.
And I mean, they did a little bit here and there, but it was so...
undertoned.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of matches. Viewer of the hour might be a little hard to fill, because there's not a lot to fill on this match either.
There's just not a lot to fucking say about any of this shit. I was going to open up with that, honestly, because... Look, I want to be straight with you. We're going to take a break before we get to the Intercontinental Championship match here. If it wasn't clear, Sheamus won. When we went into this pay-per-view, last night...
Oh, yeah.
I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to work tomorrow. I'm going to come home. We're going to role play. Didn't end up happening. That's all right. And then, I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to play a little World of Warcraft because I re-upped my subscription. I'll play
so did I, because he's a terrible enabler.
I'll play a little League of Legends. Maybe a little Hearthstone. It'll be fun. Just a nice, relaxing fucking Sunday night.
Oh, wait.
I have to watch John Cena win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship of the world of WWE. And then talk about it for an hour.
And then... Oh, it was demoralizing.
Oh, yeah.
I had a great day yesterday. I woke up in a good mood, but as it got closer and closer to pay-per-view time, my mood started to turn south, because I knew that if I was going to do the podcast for the pay-per-view, I had to actually watch the fucking thing first.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to. I went into this, as I go into all John Cena matches, assuming Cena was going to win, and I really didn't want him to for a lot of reasons, which we'll get into when we get to the main event. So it just weighed down on my brain. So much so that when I got another piece of bad news, which we can get to when it comes time, I just... a big part of me just wanted to up in the table, say fuck it, and stop watching wrestling for a while. But we'll get there.
And then, we worked through everything, we got our asses in gear, because we love you, listener.
And we want you, because we know you like the wrestling podcasts, so we want you to have them.
Yeah.
If we're going to do the podcasts, we should continue to do one of the first things that started us off, and one of the things that drew in a couple of our many, many Ultimo Dragons.
View counts don't lie, and we see what you guys like. So we try to give you more. It's as simple as that. If you're not going to tell us in the comments, I will extrapolate based on the data I am given.
If you don't like the wrestling podcast, by God, please tell us. Please.
Yeah. Tonight was fun, but this is the only game in town.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the problem.
Yeah, we don't have... Well, it's a big part of the problem booking-wise, and it's a big part of the problem in terms of us. I mean, I could re-up my subscription to Wrestling Is and watch Chikara, which is great, but they only have, the one show every now and then. It's not exactly feeding that wrestling urge that I'm used to. I still go to local shows anytime I'm able.
As much as it's amazing, I don't really know that I can fill an hour on Dragon. I mean, he's great.
Just watch Dragon, giggle, watch Dragon would be about the extent of it. And, people aren't going to be as interested. You guys, you don't fucking know Chikara.
You don't know who the fuck Dragon is.
You probably do.
You're Ultimo Dragon. You're aware of all dragon-type wrestlers. They all serve you, I believe.
But, without TNA around, I mean, not that I really watched it that much. I watched Joker Sting for a little while.
Joker Sting was probably the best thing I saw in the history of TNA.
Yeah. The rest of it was,
I saw GIFs of the rest of it and looked up occasionally what was happening, and you know what? I'm sure Bubba Ray Dudley is a talented guy. I don't buy him as a main event wrestler. That might be my fault. He might have gotten much better in the intervening years. He might have, gotten a lot tighter and much more convincing.
And it's not like Bubba Ray was the largest of their problems.
No. The largest of their problems was wrestling's other Vince. Vince Russo, the man who kills wrestling federations.
But I digress. I just want to give you guys a little bit of background there. The next match was Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz.
No. If we're going to talk about this match, we're going to talk about the best fucking part of this match. It was The Miz with Damien Mizdow versus Dolph Ziggler with R. Ziggler. I'm going to be honest with you, listener. This match was, definitely the funnest match on the card. Purely. Not even so much R-Truth. He was having fun with it, but he wasn't really into it so much. Damien Sandow made this match.
Damien Sandow's making this gimmick. I would not give a fuck about what The Miz was doing right now if it weren't for Damien Sandow's mugging.
Oh, he's beautiful at it. It's great.
And it's nothing against The Miz. I know he's better than this, and I suppose it kind of pisses me off in a way.
That this is what they gave him to work with?
Or that he's not trying hard enough with what he's given.
Because Mike Mizandon's a fucking dedicated guy, a great sport, and a tireless worker for the WWE. I feel like I should care more about him, but mostly I just care about Damien Mizdow. Because Damien is selling this so hard. He's selling this with every fiber of his being, and it is amazing to watch. For anyone who doesn't actually watch much WWE, the shtick is that The Miz is a Hollywood superstar, so he needs a stunt double. Damien Sandow is his stunt double. He comes out dressed as The Miz. He styles his hair like The Miz. He mimics what The Miz does on his come down, just whole match. Whole match, he's mimicking what The Miz is doing. Whenever The Miz does something that isn't just wrestling. And if The Miz is outside the ring hurt, Damien will go over, lay down in the same position The Miz is in, and cradle the same part of his body that is hurt.
It's hilarious. I'm not taking it away from that. But
it's clown shoes as fuck. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, that's not what bothers me. The wrestling is a little meh.
So this isn't Ziggler's best work.
Well, Miz and Ziggler don't have good chemistry. I don't remember the last guy Ziggler had good chemistry with. It was back on SmackDown, I'll tell you that much.
No, he had, there was someone recently. Move on, I'll think of it. Not super recently, but fairly recently, he had decent chemistry with. I think it was like Fandango.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
They had good matches.
The
gimmick was terrible.
Was stupid.
The gimmick was fucking awful. I couldn't watch it, but the matches themselves are solid. I mean, that was the best part of the match. The actual match, I could barely pay attention to because fucking Florida Georgia Line showed up and spent the entire match shittily commenting and fucking distracting the commentary team trying to plug their stupid fucking album or whatever.
Look, if you like Florida Georgia Line...
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not...
They're not good.
They're not for me.
Like...
I can see a lot of people would have fun with their definition of the word music. But I don't...
So PC all the time. They're terrible.
No, I mean, I really can't see why people would have fun listening to their music. It's meaningless.
It is pretty
almost
mindless.
Silly, just country heart.
The production values are good.
And yeah, their production values aren't bad. And they clearly have a lot of spirit about what they do. That's fine.
They clearly do not have a lot of spirit about pro wrestling.
No.
That's mostly what I'm mad about.
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. They have no fucking clue. Look, I don't know if you've ever seen Florida Georgia Line, but Florida, or maybe Georgia, I'm not sure.
I don't think those are their names.
I don't give a fuck.
Me neither, really.
Looks like Heath Slater. To the extent that when he came down to the ring, I was like, well, it's good to see Heath Slater has something to do outside of his wrestling career. And fucking one of them, JBL, fucking Michael Cole, I don't know who, was like, hey, if you guys had stunt doubles from Hollywood, who would you pick?
And the obvious answer for this guy is, if he's at all a wrestling fan, is to look and say, Heath Slater, have you seen him? Or something along those lines. It's an easy joke. And then, JBL could say something like, well, he needs something to do. It would be easy. It would be great. But these guys clearly don't give a shit about pro wrestling.
I don't have a clue as to what the fuck they're talking about in the first place, as the only Hollywood person either of them could think of was Brad Pitt, and then a race car driver.
It's ridiculous. Look, I don't go through my day hating Florida Georgia Line. They don't impact on my psyche. I don't give a shit about them. When they show up at my wrestling show and proceed to shit up an entire pretty decent match with their bumbling fucking commentary, I start to get salty.
Yeah, even when the matches are kind of mediocre, at least there's JBL there to liven things up. And JBL was just...
He was plugging that fucking album whole time.
But in the end, Miz won by pulling out Dolph Ziggler's ass.
Like, the whole thing. Like, he pinned him, did a roll-up, and got the tights, but he took out his whole butt.
Yeah, Dolph Ziggler's purposefully pulled out the whole butt.
Like, thankfully...
Don't rush to the network, butt fans.
The camera angle was not correct.
No, yeah, you got some side butt.
Look it up on the internet. I'm sure someone took a picture of Dolph Ziggler's ass.
No, hold on a second.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I was talking to the listener. Oh, no.
We have an hour to fill.
No.
Dolph Ziggler's ass. There's some under cheek.
Well, that's the moment right there. Like, scroll up. Right there. That's when it was about to happen.
No, because he was wearing different tights. I don't know what this was.
That's it.
Miz just got this thing where he takes out butts.
He takes out Dolph Ziggler's butt all the time.
Yeah, so that's that, I guess.
Give it a couple hours. They're still at the show.
Yeah, I guess.
Coming home and all that. Haven't uploaded all their stuff to the YouTubes and the whatnots yet.
Well, anyway.
Ooh, small aside. There was a bit from the announcers. I don't think the $9.99 thing isn't over as a heel for me. I don't hate it. I think it's funny. They did a really good one tonight.
Twice.
Twice or three times maybe. They said, for those of you who are watching us on pay-per-view, I'd like to remind you, you paid $54.95 to see this.
It would have been nice if they repeated it one last time after the pay-per-view went home.
Just, you paid $54.95 to see this.
Because I guarantee you, the viewers were sitting at home going, I paid $54.95 to see this.
I could have seen it on the network for $9.99.
I'm dumb. I wasted many of my dollars.
And you could have seen it for $9.99. This and all the other pay-per-views were coming up, and all the stuff on the network and all this extra shit. But you paid $54.95 to see this. It was almost self-deprecating. They were almost like talking about how shitty they were and that they weren't worth $54.95. What are you even doing?
Yeah, it was not the best. It was a transitional pay-per-view.
Hey, we said it a million times, if the network didn't exist, we wouldn't be watching the pay-per-views. I'm not going to pay $54.95 for that quality of entertainment. I will pay $9.99 a month for Countdown.
For that and more.
And Legend House and the Monday Night War and that sort of thing.
I know we're always plugging the network. Please buy it.
Please?
Because, like...
If you buy it, they might shut the fuck up.
Well, and, okay, yeah, if you hate hearing it, buy it for that reason, they might shut up. If you don't like the way the network works, giving it more money will help it work better. Like, look how awesome Netflix is these days compared to like when it first started.
Yeah, and I don't like the way the way the network works. It's got this weird, everything's one continuous stream, so it's hard to get something to start from the beginning, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to actually watch these pay-per-views because the network seems to hate them and want to show us just the main event and then turn off. But
the network is appealing to my sensibilities.
Can we just watch the main event and turn this shit off?
And then just tell the listener, I don't know what happened. Wikipedia says this. I'm sure it was a fine match.
Yeah, because that's why the listener tunes in, to hear us read Wikipedia.
Let me read Wikipedia at you, a new Two Nerds podcast. Sediment.
Sediment is the formation. No. But, so, the next match is where we get into that other bad news I was talking about earlier. They publicized it really, really heavily because they don't want to keep it a secret, and it wasn't a secret by any stretch of the imagination, but you, listener, I assume you listen to us partially because you don't keep up with WWE the best, so you want the news, the best takes. Roman Reigns had to have emergency surgery on Saturday. He had a hernia, a pretty severe one. Not a sports hernia, just the kind that happens sometimes.
Yeah, they can be genetic.
His intestine started poking through his abdominal wall. For those of you not up on medical jargon, that's bad. Very bad. And he had to have emergency surgery. He's fine-ish. His surgery was a complete success. He's going to make a full recovery. They're pretty sure. But, obviously, he wasn't able to wrestle tonight, and he's probably going to be out for, if their stuff isn't being kayfabed up a little to give him some extra time or to make his return more impressive, they say that the out is probably around 6 months. That's a real fucking blow to their programming as far as I'm concerned. I've made no secret on this podcast of what a huge fan of Roman Reigns I am.
You know what, let me step in here, actually, and give Ultimo some insight. We have watched the dumbest, repeat-ass matches just because Roman Reigns is near them. Glowing, glistening with his Khal Drogo-like intensity. He might do that kicky thing he does on the apron, says the boy's expression, as he giddily kicks his feet and wriggles his hands in excitement. Roman Reigns is here. Now, I think the guy's great.
I think you're overselling it just a bit.
Well, maybe in my bitterness about having to watch Roman Reigns versus whoever the fuck, I don't care.
He's overselling it. I don't kick my feet. I do occasionally
No, you're right.
wriggle.
It's not Stone Cold.
No, if it was Stone Cold, I'd be kicking my little kicky feet and wringing my hands and jumping up and down. Look, I know who I mark out for, and I'm honest about it. When glass breaks, I get out of my fucking chair. I rocket out of my chair.
Especially if it's glass in the house.
Yeah, especially. That's scary.
Intruders!
Or Stone Cold. Either way, I want to be up.
He just comes in, stuns you, drinks some beer, leaves.
I would be the greatest
Comes
honor.
back in, flips me off, stuns me, drinks some beer, leaves.
It would be the greatest honor of my entire life.
Comes back in, throws a beer at our cat.
Drinks a beer, leaves.
Yeah.
But I know who I mark out for. I don't quite mark for Roman Reigns, but I really like him. I love the way he wrestles a match. I love the intensity he has. I love the potential he has to be the next big thing. To be the person who takes the mantle of Atlas off of John Cena's shoulders. That way John Cena can do something the fuck else besides be the champ all the time. I don't like his promo work.
It needs some work.
It's stilted. He needs work. And maybe this 6-month break will give him time to work on his promos.
You know, you were telling me something you heard about on the Chris Jericho Hoodcoost.
Yeah, Chris Jericho has a podcast called Talk is Jericho.
Not to talk about a better podcast than our podcast, but I'm gonna do it. Fuck you.
Hey, I'm fine with plugging a better podcaster in our podcast. He talks to actual important wrestlers and rock and roll people. It's actually pretty cool. But
you said he was talking about how so much in the WWE is scripted these days.
Yeah, he mentioned
this is closest to word of God you're going to get about that kind of thing.
Him and Stone Cold were talking, and they were talking about how they actually sort of they don't quite pity the guys these days, but they feel for them because back when they were wrestling, when they were at the top of their game, when Stone Cold was Stone Cold, wrestlers had a lot of freedom. They were given the finish sometimes. They would sometimes work out the finish with the other person. It sort of depended, but they were given a lot of freedom to make the match what they wanted. When they were given mics, it was pretty much open mic. You could, so long as you stuck to the points of the storyline and didn't break kayfabe, you were given free range to bust out with what you wanted to say to try and make yourself over. And that's where shit like Austin 316 and That's the Bottom Line and Do You Smell What the Rock is Cooking and Raw is Jericho, all that stuff came from the wrestlers themselves just riffing on the fly, doing improv essentially. And they were talking about how that's not really the case anymore. If you want to come up with a new line, the next, Raw is Jericho, the next Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass, you gotta run it past creative first. You got to get it written into the show, and then you have to, rehearse it. It's so scripted. The matches are scripted almost move for move. And you can watch Raw. They mentioned this, and I started looking for it after they mentioned it, but you can watch Raw, and you'll see different parts of the show have very different feels. They feel like different shows. There's no unifying aura to the show, and that's because different writers are handling those segments. And they make no effort to make the show similar in tone or theming at all. So a lot of the guys in the business today, a lot of the big stars, don't have freedom to talk off script. The big guys do, from what I'm gathering, because CM Punk and maybe John Cena, maybe not, maybe they just know how to write his gimmick really well. But I'm betting Paul has free range to do what he likes. This is conjecture. This is me. From what they said, pretty much everything is scripted, and you have to run everything you want to say past people. Which makes me think that a lot of the stilted, not very good promo work I've heard in the last few years is a result of these wrestlers who are trained to riff, who are trained to cut promos, being given promos to say, and that seems artificial, and it comes through. And the reason their matches are so formulaic isn't because the wrestlers don't have any idea what to do. The wrestlers have lots of ideas what to do. Stone Cold went on at length for how if they're not, he was going to work a headlock, a whole match. He was going to, do a bunch of headlocks. But he saw the match beforehand, and they were doing a bunch of headlocks. So he changed up his entire plan for the match and called it on the fly with his, called an audible in the ring with his opponent because he knew that the fans weren't going to want to see that shit twice in a row. They don't have that freedom anymore, which is probably a lot of the reason the matches are so fucking formulaic, and you can call a match down to the spot beforehand as it's happening. Because they're written. They're formulaic because they work off formulas. And I feel like that's probably dragging a lot of the business down. Because right now, this is the only game in town.
Yeah. But that's why I think partially why Roman Reigns' mic work isn't great, because he's not being Roman Reigns. He's being whatever character he's playing, whatever writer is writing him and thinks would sound cool.
He seems like a much more chill guy than the very intense warrior thing they're giving him. I think if you let him have an open mic, he might do much better. He is related to The Rock, after all.
You can't put that kind of pressure on his shoulders. I think if he had an open mic, he would sound more authentic. It's not that his lines aren't punchy enough, ordinarily.
They're usually fairly punchy.
It's that he doesn't sound like he means them.
Yeah, they sound awkward coming out of his lips because he doesn't sound right. He wrestles like a beast, and he puts on very entertaining matches, but he just, whatever the problem is with his mic work.
I feel like if the boy said, "Bless your heart."
Oh, bless your heart. See, I can say it, but it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But
so the actual thing we're talking about here is Seth Rollins comes out and does that thing he did with Dean Ambrose, where he's like, Announce me the winner of this match that isn't happening.
By forfeit. So smug. Smug. And I thought that was a really good callback. And I like that it's becoming his thing. And he issued an open challenge to anyone backstage. And I said, when he did that, I was like, man, if Dean Ambrose wasn't busy filming a movie or whatever it is he's doing, this would be a great time for Dean Ambrose to show up. And then Dean Ambrose showed up.
In a taxi.
And he came out and they did their Seth Rollins Dean Ambrose thing where Dean Ambrose punches him across the arena, one punch at a time. And Seth Rollins basically tries to run like the Roadrunner away from Wile E. Coyote. It was good. Eventually security came out, Triple H came out, they
zip-tied Ambrose and left.
Dragged him off. But
it was nice. I mean, that's
probably not great for Roman Reigns' career. This is probably much better for Dean Ambrose's career, though. I like that this gives him an opportunity to continue that thing with Seth Rollins.
And it gives him an opportunity to put himself over. Putting Dean Ambrose on the shelf when they put him on the shelf was about the dumbest idea they could have had, because he's really talented and had a lot of heat. Why would you just throw that into the shitter?
Well, you didn't. They fed it to Seth Rollins.
For me personally, and I've been not wanting to say this because I think he's a good guy and he's a good performer, etc., etc. I don't really like him.
Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
Why not?
It might be his gimmick. That would make sense, but I just don't. He's like a heat dead zone. Like, anytime he does anything that should put him over,
for some reason, it just doesn't.
It's just like, no, it's just Seth Rollins.
We recognize that was bad, but we don't care.
And you know what? It probably stems greatly from Michael Cole hastily tacking on to the end of their era that he was the architect of the Shield. I mean, you can't credit somebody with shit in the postscript and expect me to buy it. I'm sorry.
And then they're really pushing that now with his gimmick, like, a lot.
I mean, he's good on the mic, and he's good in the ring, and he's got
He
a
is good
look.
on the mic. He is good in the ring. He's kind of a total package, but, I mean, I don't share your opinion. I like Seth Rollins a lot. I like all of the members of the Shield.
Which is funny, because I was the one who was telling you when they were wrestling, nah, man, Seth Rollins is good. You just need to see him work, man.
And
I
didn't believe him. I did not believe him. I was like, nah, dude, he looks like Jeff Hardy to me. I never see him do anything but giant spots. And I was wrong. Once they let him start wrestling, he's really good.
I think maybe I just don't like him as what he is right now.
His gimmick might be dragging him down a bit.
It probably is.
You liked him a lot better when he didn't have that gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, that's for certain.
Which makes sense. The gimmick is not the kind of heel gimmick.
It's
flimsy, and it's not the kind of heel gimmick that gets you over. It doesn't get you cheers. Because there are heel gimmicks that do that. But this isn't one of them.
It's not even that he's getting heel heat that I love to hate him, you know?
He's just getting X-Pac heat. You just
for me personally.
You just don't want to see him.
Yeah, it's just get off my fucking TV. I don't care about you.
Which is sad, because he's doing really good work right now. The next match, the actual match, this one did happen. Rusev with Lana versus Mark Henry. Alright. So this match, I thought this one was a fucking foregone conclusion. Like, they had built Mark Henry to be the one who beats Rusev, to be, America, woo! I didn't figure they'd kill the United States and have Russia rise to power 2 pay-per-views in a row. Quick spoiler, that's exactly what happened.
Well, and when we tuned in on the network, that was the thing that popped up. We saw Rusev standing tall.
Yeah, so, we got the spoiler, you get the spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, we were...
I'm not mad about it at all.
No, and I said, if it were anyone but Rusev, I would have been really disappointed that Mark Henry lost.
Because Mark Henry put in good fucking work.
Yeah, they've really sold this gimmick, and, it would have been a really nice time for it to be over, and Mark Henry would have been a decent guy to give it to. I can see why they didn't. He's older. He's not going to do anything with it.
He doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't need it. But
Jack Swagger could have done much more with it, and they didn't give it to him.
Yeah, and he and Langston put on better matches.
And they didn't give it to him.
No. So, and that was really the biggest problem here. This match wasn't anything to smile about.
No, it wasn't very good. just flat
They
out...
just don't have chemistry. I mean, Mark Henry's a very... Not stiff's not the word I'm looking for because it means something different in the wrestling industry. He's a very plain wrestler. And I don't mean that he does traditional holds and stuff. I just mean it's very, simple slams and splashes and throws. Yeah, it's nothing really complex. And he just doesn't work well with Rusev's more complex assault,
And with Rusev's style, because Rusev's a power wrestler, and Mark Henry outpowers you. That's his whole thing. That's his whole shtick. So Rusev had to fall back on other parts of his moveset, which, while strong, aren't what he usually plays to, so it played weird.
Well, and they did that stuff with Big E, though. And there's that, Big E's a power wrestler, Rusev's a power wrestler, but they met like fucking Godzilla and King Kong in the middle of the ring.
It was like an explosion. It was great.
This was like Godzilla versus Charles Barkley.
Still great, but in a
Charles
different way.
Barkley was doing what he does, and it was alright, but Godzilla was for some reason playing basketball instead of using atomic breath.
That's actually a really good analogy.
Thank you. I just came up with it.
In the end, Rusev went over clean. Not even the Stone Cold he passed out instead of tapping out that they gave Jack Swagger. Mark just tapped the hell out to the accolade. The camel clutch, he broke his back, make him humble.
And fine, good. I like Rusev.
I like Rusev a lot. He's talented. Lana is amazing at her job.
Yep.
And I don't know who they're going to feed him to, because he's got to lose eventually, and the higher you build him, the bigger that loss is going to be. So I don't know eventually what's going to happen to Rusev, but I'm interested. You have my interest. It's probably going to be John Cena.
The next match is where I start to get chatty. Because this was the most fun match on the card for me. I had a great time.
You know what? No, I forgot about how fun this was. But it wasn't because of the match. It was fun because we were having fun.
Well, we were having fun because Randy Orton let us.
That is true. Go ahead, sir.
God. Listener, I probably regaled you with this tale before, but whatever. I still got over 20 minutes to fill. I've never really liked Randy Orton. I just haven't.
Me neither, for the record.
He's bland. I didn't really care for his Legend Killer gimmick.
I did, but that's for other reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't give a shit. I didn't like Evolution. I'm like the only guy in the world who didn't like Evolution.
No, you're not. I'm like the only guy in the world who did like Evolution.
Oh, really? I always hear they're really popular.
Really?
Yeah, like
I hear nothing
like,
but
Evolution's so great.
I hear nothing but God damn it, Triple H, making all his friends the top talent, giving them all the paydays. Rah, 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 rah.
And man, you can't listen to Smarks that much because Smarks don't have all the power.
Smarks are who I fucking talk to, dude.
Yeah. You know what speaks to me? Popularity? T-shirts. I see a fair number of Evolution T-shirts.
T-shirts are the ultimate judge of popularity in the business. You can tell that because John Cena is still on top.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker moves units.
But it's a fair judge. I mean, you can't walk up to everybody on the street and be like, quick, tell me what you feel about wrestling circa 2004. And they'll be like, blah. But you can check and see, and they're wearing an Evolution T-shirt, and you know. You don't have to fucking talk to them, you know.
You get it.
But, I've never been a Randy Orton fan until,
the last year.
Not even.
So 6 months, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, he was pretty good when he came back.
I know we've covered this, how he learned how to finally cut a promo.
Yeah, we had this old rule, the Randy Orton 30-second rule.
I'm almost certain we covered this.
Yeah.
Randy Orton couldn't talk for more than 30 seconds. At 31 seconds, he would fuck up his entire promo. He'd ruin it somehow.
Yeah.
So he did this thing for 2 years where he would talk for 28 seconds, stop for 4, and then talk again. And that was his workaround. And he finally learned how to just talk. He just learned how to continue a fucking promo.
He starts yelling now.
Yeah.
He talks for 30 seconds and starts yelling. He reaches a different level.
And then he goes back down to talking.
Well, and then for years he was just fucking silent. That was the Lord Voldemort years. I kind of like those too.
But I don't know if he unlocked his Super Saiyan powers or whatever, but he has become phenomenal in the ring.
I mean, I started to like him
Fucking phenomenal.
when he really started giving into the snake dance and all that shit. But, only in like that halfway ironic way that's like, hey, look at that Randy Orton doing his fucking thing.
Look at the fucking snake dance.
Yeah.
It sure is wacky.
I mean, but if then someone was like, hey, do you want to give him the Intercontinental Championship? No, fuck no, keep that guy away from gold.
Now I would support him on a world title run. I am not joking. He has been phenomenal, at least since WrestleMania.
Every pay-per-view we have watched, which has been every pay-per-view since WrestleMania, Randy Orton stood out as being good. When he was with Evolution, it wasn't so incredible.
Because he had to work around the rest of Evolution.
Because, he couldn't be Randy Orton. He had to fall back into being Wacky Man.
Into being Triple H's muscle.
But when he's allowed to be 100% Randy, he bees Randy good.
He moves solid. He moves in gimmick. This is an interesting thing. You can tell people who are really good ring psychologists because they move in gimmick. Everything they do in the ring, down to walking, sells their gimmick. When The Undertaker walks across the ring, he's selling The Undertaker gimmick. When, Heath Slater walks across the ring, he's not. He's not selling Heath Slater. When Randy Orton walks across the ring, when Randy Orton is standing fucking still, he is selling the Viper as a gimmick. And it is really good. He got thunderous boos by pointing to his own ear at one point.
Yeah, they were chanting Y2J, and Orton had just knocked him out or whatever. And he just, lifts up his earlobe a little bit, and it just got louder, and they just started booing. They stopped chanting, they just started booing. And it was just incredible. The psychology, the looks on his face. Jericho had sword hands at one point, and that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, he chopped Randy Orton so hard across the chest, he fucking cut him. It was ridiculous.
And Randy Orton even looked down and was like, what the fuck? But,
And this meant it was a solid match, too.
Yeah, back and forth as hell. Both of these guys are older, and I always hear people bitching now that, Randy Orton gasses out so fast. Fuck you, he's had to change his style. He is older now.
And he does gas out fast, and Chris Jericho hasn't exactly got the best stamina in the world. But it doesn't matter, because once they're gassed out, once they're done with all their big moves, they don't sit in rest holds, they work.
Yeah.
They fucking work.
Orton would work the crowd, and he would do his little snake maneuvers, and he'd stare around.
And he's catching his breath, but he's not wasting time.
Yeah, that's really super important.
And Chris Jericho, when he was up, every time he would be standing, just catching his breath, trying to set up for the next move. He would be pumping the crowd up and yeah, baby, and doing his Chris Jericho thing. Both of these guys have excellent ring psychology. They don't have the best stamina, but their matches are more entertaining because wrestling's not a fucking foot race.
Yeah.
It's a story.
Yeah.
And if you can tell the story, I don't give a shit how quickly you gas out. I have a problem with how quickly if you gas out if it prevents you from telling the story. That's why I love the Triple H Undertaker matches at WrestleMania, both of them, because both of those dudes are old enough. Triple H not so much. Triple H's conditioning is still absurdly good for how old he is, but Undertaker gasses out in 4 minutes. But it doesn't matter because he's a master of telling a story. But, this match was just, you're right. We had a lot of fun with it because he was doing running commentary for Randy Orton's...
Like Randy Orton's internal monologue.
Like, yes, I am a snake, and now I shall move, and now I shall get him. Oh no, that didn't go well, I shall run.
You had to be there, listener. It was funnier, I swear.
Well, it's funnier because he's better at that sort of thing. But it was very funny. We had a great time with that match. And aside from that, it was a really good fucking match.
I had a lot of practice, actually. We used to do improv stuff on parties once a year in my family. And one of the things is we would turn on TVs and just sort of riff. And I would do that with my friends every now and then. If we'd rent an awful horror movie, we'd just fucking mute it.
We still do
riff.
that occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah.
That was actually the first thing we did, as friends. When we first met, we riffed on a children's cartoon, children's morning show, Hip Hop Harry.
Hip Hop Harry.
It was the first thing we did as people in the same room. I met him 4 minutes before that.
My favorite part of this match, and boy, you're my only witness to this, but it was still pure magic. Fucking Jericho gets Orton in the walls, right? And Orton, he's got him in the hold good, and Orton's crawling toward the ropes. He's trying to get out of it, trying to flip Jericho over, whatever. And I'm like, man, just once, I would like to see somebody just, invert themselves. Go the other way and escape it.
Just roll through backward.
15 seconds later, Randy Orton does it.
Like that exact thing.
He just, flops around and gets under Jericho and starts punching him in the face.
And I saw Spork sit up in his chair and go, yeah, do the thing I just said to do. It was really hilarious.
Oh, it was magical. Apparently, I am the voices in Randy Orton's head. I'm down with that.
Randy Orton goes over with the RKO he hits sometimes when someone's trying to jump at him from the top rope. That RKO specifically. It was really cool, really good spot. The whole match was really good. If you have the network, go back and watch it. If you don't buy the network, go back and watch it. But then we have our piss break match, which is sad.
It's not fair because it was a pretty good match.
It was
all things considered.
2/3 of a good match.
Yeah.
Because it was AJ Lee, woohoo, Paige, yes, and then fucking Nikki Bella for some reason. This fucking Bella's gimmick it's now infecting actual good Divas wrestling, which they haven't had in years and are finally just starting to get back to. It infected my fucking Paige AJ Lee match with a Bella. I don't want a fucking Bella in that match. And they were selling her like a power wrestler the whole time?
I had no problem with the gimmick when it wasn't bothering other gimmicks.
Yeah,
when it was just being its own thing. Corner. Yeah, whatever. Do your thing. Have fun.
Stephanie McMahon you can sell as a power wrestler. Because one, she's fucking huge.
Oh, she's
and two,
jacked.
She trains all the time, so she's cut as fuck. Beth Phoenix you can sell as a power wrestler. You can't sell me a Bella Twin as a power wrestler. At least not in the shape they're in now. It don't work. It doesn't make no goddamn sense.
But otherwise, the match was really good. A lot of really great psychology between AJ and Paige.
There was this one moment where Paige was trying to help AJ get up, hugging her and holding her to her feet. AJ pushes her away, so Paige kicks her in the fucking side and goes, "Why won't you love me?"
Yeah, that was epic.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was great. Eventually, AJ Lee goes over against, she makes Paige tap out to the Black Widow. I think the better finish would have been AJ Lee over Nikki Bella, personally. I feel like this damages the AJ Lee and Paige feud a little, but I can see why they went with it because it lets Nikki Bella get the fuck away from the Divas title.
Yeah, she might be thirsty for revenge if it went the other way. And to their credit, Paige almost reversed it.
Yeah, she did the thing where she reversed it, but then AJ Lee was like, no, I am too good.
And this is the finish I wanted here. Much like Ms. Ziggler, I want him to go back and forth a little longer. That's what this gimmick needs.
Yeah, AJ Lee definitely needed to win the title there. I would have preferred it over the Bella, but she did need the win.
Yeah.
Then we have our main event.
Which we don't really have much to say about here either.
I have some good things to say.
Brock Lesnar was awesome.
Brock Lesnar did pretty much, it was like they turned up John Cena's offense-ometer about 4 notches, and then it was just the same match from SummerSlam. Brock just fucking obliterated John Cena for 20 minutes. John Cena got offense in this time, actual real offense in, but he was mostly...
he nailed, what was it at the end? 4
attitude adjustments. Fucking 4 of them.
3 STFUs?
3 STFUs. 3 STFUs, 4 FUs, and then Brock nailed just 1 F5, I think.
And that was post-match.
Yeah, that was post-match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He didn't nail any during the match.
He didn't have to.
Because he was just suplex.
Yeah.
Eat, sleep, suplex, repeat. Eat, sleep, suplex, repeat. And it was a fun match to watch because watching Brock Lesnar clown Cena out is really funny. But eventually John Cena wins via disqualification. Seth Rollins rolls into the ring, hits him with the briefcase, and Cena wins via DQ, but isn't the fucking champion. And that's the important part, ladies and gentlemen. John Cena did not walk out of this pay-per-view the champ.
It's...
That's all I needed. Look. That's all I needed.
It's,
It was a good...
I'm just going to go through this again in 4 weeks.
No. His rematch clause is over. They might be able to move on now.
God, I hope so.
They might not. I always assumed that he's going to fuck something up. But they might be able to move on now because he doesn't have a reason to get another match.
No, he could beg one out of him pretty easy. He's John Cena.
He could beg one out of him. He could kayfabe one out.
Or he could, beat Seth Rollins in a match.
I had that match won. What the hell? After the match, Seth Rollins tries to cash in on Brock Lesnar. They announce it, but before they can ring the bell, Cena comes in and blasts Seth Rollins across the back and, prevents the cash-in from happening. Brock Lesnar lifts Cena up because he's, made of ghosts. He took the Undertaker's powers, so he can just sit back up whenever he wants now. And does the F5 and walks out all strong. This is one of the things I wanted to get to, listener. I'm talking a lot this podcast, but I got a lot to say, and you don't.
I really don't. This pay-per-view is mediocre.
Fucking John Cena's a heel.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I confirmed it weeks ago. If any of you follow me on Twitter,
he's a heel. He's a villain with good publicity.
Yeah. When he came out and beat the shit out of the Wyatts just for no good reason, while his stupid frat bros, The Big Show and Mark Henry, were like, "Yeah, do it. Fuck them. Smear the queer.
Fucking destroy the other. They are the enemy, for they are different." It's
savages.
Pretty much fucking savages. He's been a heel forever.
Yeah.
As for instance, on Monday night, Brock Lesnar came into the ring. John Cena wanted to fight. John Cena attacked Brock Lesnar before he got into the ring. A heel move. Brock Lesnar proceeded to fucking clown Cena and F5 him, roll him out of the ring. A face move. John Cena waited till Brock Lesnar turned around and hit him in the back of the head. A heel move.
Oh, and let's not mention the Raw we missed. Let's not forget. There was the Raw where John Cena no-sells all the damage Brock did to him and beat the shit out of the Wyatt family. The night after, Cena bitches and whines and moans and threatens a lawsuit so he gets his title match.
Threatens a fucking lawsuit. That is a fucking heel maneuver. And the Brock Lesnar Cena fight on that last Raw. Security comes out and separates John Cena from Brock Lesnar. Separate the bully from the person he attacked from behind. He's a fucking heel, people. He's been booked like, I don't know when they fucking swerved us, but there has been a John Cena heel turn. It's just they're not mentioning it. You made this joke, and I can only feel it's true. The citizens of Latveria are very happy, but that doesn't mean Dr. Doom is a good person. Look, the C-Nation might love him, but he's a bad guy. Yeah. By his actions in the ring for like the last 3 or 4 pay-per-view cycles. And it's ridiculous, because it's terrible booking. It's just terrible booking.
It's petty booking, because it's not about telling a good story. It's about getting one over on the fans. And I don't mean in the traditional wrestling sense where you get them to mark whatever. But I mean in the sense that, we gave you heel John Cena and you guys just didn't give it shit. You didn't change your opinion at all. So whatever. Why should we try to please you when it obviously doesn't do anything?
Well, it doesn't work when you have John Cena acting exactly the same. All it does is make it so that this smug prick has all of the announcers behind him, and everyone says he's a good guy, but he's obviously a douchebag. And which doesn't fit John as a person, because everyone talks about how John Cena is the nicest motherfucker in the locker room next to The Undertaker. And, for instance, another story from, I mentioned it again, the Chris Jericho podcast. A lot of people give Cena heat for the Nexus match. Team WWE versus the Nexus, their first big match. The Nexus lost because it was down to John Cena and 2 of the members of the Nexus. He beat them both. A lot of people give Cena shit for that because they feel like the Nexus should have gone over. Chris Jericho and Edge are 2 of those people. Edge was the guest on the podcast. They were arguing with John because they were both on the team. Prior to the match, they were arguing with him to have the Nexus go over. They felt like it was the better gimmick. John was very adamant that he should win this match. He twisted some arms, and he has a lot of pull backstage, so he got it done. He won the match. Afterward, he came to Chris Jericho and said, "You were right. That was a terrible call. I did not see how bad a call it was until it was already over."
Which, fat lot of good that does fucking anybody. There are no take-backsies in wrestling. You cannot strike things from WWE lore.
Right, but, like, everyone makes mistakes.
Sure.
Stone Cold maintains his heel turn was a bad call.
Well, it was.
Every wrestler has that one call that they thought they had the lock on the best move, and they pushed for it, and then afterwards they were like, shit, that was a dumbass call. Sometimes you have to shit the bed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it happens.
And that he was a big enough man to immediately recognize it after it had already happened says good things about John.
Well, but you don't have to be, mean backstage to fulfill the heel role.
Right, it's just John Cena, and actually a lot of wrestlers talk about how the best possible gimmicks are you, as a person, just turned up to 11. And you can make that a face, you can make that a heel, just depends on what parts of your personality you emphasize. But a lot of wrestlers talk about the best possible gimmick you can get, the best one you can sell, is your own personality turned up.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, it ended months ago, even though I kind of pushed for a John Cena heel turn, if he refuses to do it the classic way, if he refuses to act. Because, you know what, rapper John Cena worked.
Because he's that guy, he likes hip-hop.
But even heel rapper John Cena worked.
Heel John Cena could work.
He just doesn't.
He loves being John Cena. He cut that promo.
Oh, yeah, no, that was shooty as fuck. I'm not saying it wasn't.
He said, "I love being a hero to dying children. I love being a hero to veterans. A man gave me a Purple Heart. Fuck you, I'm not changing my gimmick."
And you know what? Fine. Keep him away from the fucking title.
Because this is something I had a conversation with about White about something entirely unrelated. When the same thing happens over and over and over again, even if it's a good thing, there can be too much of a good thing. The shit gets boring. John Cena needs to be kept away from the title because John Cena can't turn heel, so his booking is inherently boring.
There's no new stories to tell there.
You've told every John Cena story. And now that he's been, completely fucking demolished, a la Zack Ryder versus Rusev, you've told literally every John Cena story.
This is even shades of two other Cena stories. This is the Wyatt family versus John Cena, and this is John Cena versus everybody in the beginning of 2012 when he was on that long losing streak.
And John Cena versus Brock Lesnar the first fucking time.
Yeah, that's all this is. You've already told all the stories with this character. You can't tell any new ones. You keep him around because he makes kids happy and he sells merch. Fine.
Move him to main event with fucking Santino. Or keep him on Raw, but keep him away from the fucking title.
It's not hard.
For the love of God. It's not hard. You did it for a while.
You had 2 weeks build up and you put Randy Orton versus Chris Jericho on the show and it was one of the best. It was the best thing on the fucking show.
In terms of pure match, yeah, best match on the card.
Don't tell me you couldn't take John Cena with all the charisma and creativity he possesses.
Because it's a lot.
And keep him away from the title, but still have him relevant. Still have him fighting evil and triumphing over adversity and hustling and loyaling and respecting.
Fuck that. They did it for like fucking 5 or 6 months. Remember?
Was it really that long?
I think so. He was away from the title fighting the Wyatts and some other people. He was away from the title for a while, dude.
Yeah, I guess. I guess this is probably just another...
Till he won it off, I think it was the last time he won it in that ladder match. And before that, he was pretty well away from the title for a while before it.
Yeah, this is a direct result of the lack of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, if Daniel Bryan had been here, I don't think Cena would have the title right now. I think Brock Lesnar might have the title, but I don't think Cena would have had it at any point. This is a direct result of Daniel Bryan getting injured. And, kudos to them, I suppose. When your new big star gets injured, you gotta fall back on the one you have built. You have to use your backup. John Cena is and will be for several more years. At the very least, their backup. At the very least.
Yeah, I don't
care.
I don't want to see it. Like it's less. It's harsher than not caring. I actively do not want to see it. And I was doing some thinking, and I was like, how. Well, it sort of came in the other direction. But a lot of people will often ask, "Man, how long have you actually hated John Cena? What are you just Smark?" And you've always Smark is a smart mark. They know the wrestling industry, but they still really care about storylines. Generally, nowadays, it's used as a derogatory because smarks on the internet
are dicks.
Well, they're on the internet. I mean, you can't be anything on the internet that is a collective noun without being a douchebag.
Pretty much every collective group on the internet is a huge douche.
And if they start out great, they end up shitty. Just because the loudest parts are usually the shittiest parts.
And the loudest parts are the only parts you see because it's the internet.
Yeah. But I digress. Are you just following fads, whatever? No. I remembered a long time ago, I was talking to my good friend Lita on MSN Messenger. And, she sent me said casually in conversation, as one might do when one is a bit younger, the opening lyrics to a John Cena theme. His old theme. And I remember playfully rebutting with, don't you be singing that shit round here. I have not liked John Cena since his old theme.
You didn't like John Cena before not liking John Cena was cool?
Not even that. It's just, this is how long I've been putting up with this. This is the depths of my rage. I am so tired of all this shit. I was tired of John Cena when he was a 4-time champion, and now he's flirting with beating Ric Flair.
2 more times. I am the exact opposite. I was, until recently, the eternal Cena apologist. I like John Cena as a person. I like the gimmick in and of itself. It's a solid
I like
gimmick.
him as a person.
It's a solid gimmick, and he's a good worker, and he's funny, and he's charismatic. So I liked John Cena for a long time, up until very recently. You can go back and listen to the fucking podcast and find out when that changed.
Yeah.
It's been that recently. But, oh man, it finally reached its breaking point for me. After many, many a year, it has finally broken. It's finally reached its breaking point. I'm finally done. Fucking change your gimmick or get away from the title. I don't care which it is, but you are hurting your federation at this point. You are not allowing yourself to be booked. You are booking yourself.
It's the same shit Hulk Hogan did back in the 80s. And it was bad then and it's bad now.
It's the same shit Goldberg did during the fall of WCW. And it was bad then and it's bad now.
It's the same shit Triple H did for a while back when he had the big head.
And it was bad then and it's bad now. When you stop letting your character be booked and begin booking your character, bad shit happens because you do not have perspective. Unless you're The Undertaker. He books his character.
Yeah, you know what? Taker's always been pretty good.
Taker has been booking his own character for years, and he has noticeably not really ever made a huge misstep.
No.
I mean, maybe the biker gimmick, because they don't really talk about that anymore.
Whatever.
But it was good at the time. It fit the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
it was what that era needed. We don't need to spend a lot of time revisiting it, but...
No, I mean, it was what it was, and it wasn't all that long-lived, all things considered.
A few years.
Yeah.
But...
I think more than anything, what hurt that gimmick was, JR dubbing him Booger Red.
What the fuck, JR? Normally I am your biggest fan, but that is some straight-up vintage shit.
It's like, stop blowing holes in my shit.
But, I mean, that's about the pay-per-view.
Yeah, we could go on more, but we've really stretched this out beyond what it needed to be in the first place. Am I looking forward to tomorrow? No.
I'd probably, if I watch it, it's going to be on a large amount of fast forward. I might actually just look up results and decide what is and isn't worth watching. I am fucking, ultimately,
I'm weary.
Yeah, weary.
And it's not helping that the undercard, where I usually find solace, is being populated by these best of 7 series or best of 29 series.
Yeah, best of whenever we get tired of booking this match.
You motherfuckers employ way more wrestlers than that, and you give us a shitty-ass 3-hour show. Why do you keep showing us the exact same 3-hour show? I guess because we keep buying it.
Yeah, we keep tuning in, so must be working.
Yeah, I mean, but even if we didn't tune in, we don't buy merch, so our opinions aren't really all that valid.
They like ratings, too.
They do, but merch is more important.
Merch is more important, ultimately.
Social media, trending, etc., etc.
And so long as you keep buying in, they'll keep making that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Clearly your audience loves this, so continue to play to this. It's the exact same decision-making that leads to us continuing to subject ourselves to wrestling, because we figure that you, the listener, want to hear it. Don't fuck with your target audience. It's just good business decision. It's not a good booking decision. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of it, and really any smart person on the internet who knows about wrestling will say the biggest problem with the WWE is when they stopped booking a wrestling federation and started running a business.
And to be fair, they're running a business very successfully.
Yeah, they had some falls earlier this year, and they managed to recover from them pretty quick.
But it's not very good wrestling. Although, it is very slightly better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get hardcore! Blood, pain, we're all insane. Suffer head trauma, destroy our